Hello everybody, I'm Zeus Caravallo from ZK Research, and I'm here for another one of my ZKast videos, this time in person at the Palo Alto headquarters building. So this is the first one I've actually done at a vendor site, so that's kind of exciting. I'm joined by Kumar Ramachandran, SVP of SASE. Why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hi, absolutely thrilled to be here.
Yeah, and before we get started though, I do want to give a quick shout out to eWeek, my media partner. All ZKasts are done in conjunction with the eWeek eSpeaks program. So we're going to talk SASE, we're going to talk home working, hybrid work, and a whole bunch of other interesting topics. But first, before we get going, to set the stage, Kumar, why don't you just tell me what you're seeing from your customers today regarding the return to work, hybrid work, work from home? You know, I think we're in this weird phase where some companies are starting to go back and some aren't. What's going on with your customers?
I think what we're seeing across the marketplace is a new model of working, hybrid work. Right? I think the big shift we've seen in the last 18, 24 months is that work is no longer a location, work is now an activity, right? Where you don't expect people to be at home all the time or at work, at a physical work location all the time, or even mobile. For the most part, we're seeing, at Palo Alto, we've gone to this model where we're completely flexible. I personally choose to come into the office twice or thrice a week and then work from home other times. Gives me great flexibility. And that's what we're seeing from most companies, right? And what it's doing is it's allowing companies to go where the talent is rather than be constrained by geographic location. I do think this is a massive shift, and it's a very powerful one. It unlocks a lot of productivity.
Yeah, it is a big shift. In fact, prior to the pandemic, my research shows only about 24% of people worked remotely. Today, my research shows that coming out of the pandemic, 51% of people will work kind of like you, 2 to 3 days a week in the office, another 24% 1 day a week. So that puts us roughly 3/4 of the audience of people working at least 1 day a week at home. Now, that has kind of a profound impact on work, obviously the way we work. But one of the undertold stories, I think, is the impact on security. Right? So we're not sitting behind corporate firewalls anymore. I know you guys make some great ones, and you can help me when I'm in the office, but what kind of new threats have emerged because of this new way of working?
Yeah, you're spot on. What has happened is that previously, outside, work location was the primary one, where on a sustained basis, you were conducting your work. Now the home has become a very, very important extension of the corporate office, that you're doing it 1 day a week, twice a week, or even 5 days a week, like we did for the last 5 years. It's definitely the expectation from employees and as a consequence from IT teams, is that you are able to get not only the same level of user experience, same level of performance, you're able to access all your applications, you can't be constrained in any way. And it has a profound impact on security, right? We've starting to see many of the attacks start to get very sophisticated, where people say, hey, high net worth individuals or key critical employees, key execs that are working from home, planning for attacks. And you have the potential of attacking the home segment and then creeping into getting into the work segment. You've got to be careful with all of that.
Yeah, well, it certainly creates some backdoors. In fact, I saw a Stanford study just yesterday that actually talked about how breaches from home workers are way up. The biggest reason is people just get distracted and they're not as careful with some of the things they click on. And that, I think, underscores the importance of being able to build security into the network and taking the onus away from the user. I think historically, we've relied heavily on the user to be the integration point, right, for a lot of technologies. And to me, that's always been kind of a failed strategy. So you're right. I think that the nature of security itself has changed. So, but what are some of the other networking and security challenges that are associated with this kind of hybrid work model we're going to be living in for really the indefinite future?
Yeah, I think the very closely related challenges around user experience management, right? Sometimes if you put user experience in conflict with security or in conflict with how a person is doing work, you're going to start creating very unnatural behaviors, right? All of us have the experience of being on a Zoom call and having voice or video get choppy. And that's always a problem. Yeah. Now, what we do see is that the way solutions have to evolve is as you deliver security to the home, it has to be seamless. It has to be consistent with your security model when you're at your work location, when you're mobile. And you need the tooling to deliver incredible user experiences, right? And at Palo Alto, we have about 50 to 100 branch offices. So that's what our IT teams used to really manage. And we moved to needing to support 10,000 home offices as we all went home during the pandemic. And so that's a 100x increase in scale. Now, if my CIO went to our CEO and said, I want a 100x increase in IT staff to support the home environment, you're not going to get it, right? So you need tools to be able to ensure that the end user is not opening trouble tickets with IT for performance, Zoom's broken, Office 365 is not working well or anything. So you do need to have a lot of automation. So it's security, user experience, and automation. All three have to come together.
Yeah, this sort of juxtaposition of performance and security is fascinating. In fact, a survey I ran a couple of years ago now, a little over half the respondents said they knowingly turn security features off in favor of performance. I'm sure historically you've seen that, even with your customer base, where it's this trade-off, right? We think performance, security, ease of use, and we have to decide, we have to compromise, I guess, in some way. And so we're moving into this era where I suppose you can compromise.
That's exactly right. I'll tell you a funny story. It's funny, but it's also reflective of a problem. I was doing a CISO panel, this was maybe a couple months ago, and the platform on which we were recording, it had some trouble for a couple of the CISOs that were there on the panel. And so the event organizer says, can you turn off your VPN? It'll then allow you to connect seamlessly. And bang, they turned it off. And you're like, hey, this is literally a CISO panel to talk about security. So, what we've really done as a consequence is how do you ensure you can extend the power of a uniform security, automation, and user experience model to the user that's sitting at home. We did that initially. And so we have our very, very powerful SASE solution around that. And then now what we're doing is extending that power of SASE seamlessly to the rest of the home.
Yeah, so hold that thought. I'm wondering though, when you think about the billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars that have been invested in security historically, right? These solutions do not solve the home security problem. Why is that?
So what has happened is that the industry bifurcated. For some reason, what happened is, and I think probably in part given the previous nature of work, right? You came into a location to do most of your work, so you saw very sophisticated attacks happening against corporations, and that then resulted in all the security vendors building extremely sophisticated tools and capabilities to protect your corporation. I think what has happened now in the last 18 months in the pandemic, the home has become an integral extension of the corporation. Previously, this was seen as, hey, this is consumer. The attacks on consumer are not as virulent. And so it's okay to have second-class security. We also felt it was okay not to have access to all your applications because maybe a couple hours after your dinner, you're catching up with email or some such. Now, you need access to all your applications because that's your place of work. And you have to protect it the same way you protect your corporate. So now for the very first time, we're seeing both enterprises wake up, sophisticated IT and security departments saying, hey, I can't shut my front door and then leave all the windows open, right? Because all these windows with people at home, they have a much poorer and weaker security model.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you noted how many branch offices Palo Alto had. I think 150 you said. In fact, what you have is every employee is now a branch office, right? So companies have gone from a few hundred branch offices to possibly tens of thousands, and that creates a different type of problem. So the other side of the coin, you did mention the industry bifurcated, is there are a bunch of consumer-grade technologies. In fact, you can go buy them at your favorite store, right? So what are those missing, though, in order to be able to secure people for work?
Yeah, so I think a very simple touchstone test. Would you take one of those things and put it in your corporate environment? And clearly the answer from almost every CISO is no. So it's really the reverse, which is that it's like suddenly you've opened, like you said, if you had 50 or 100 branch offices, it's like you just opened 10,000 branch offices. So the question is, are you secure at every one of these branch offices, right? And so what we really have to ensure is that when you look at the security stack, you have to be able to invoke an extremely powerful stack to protect the home users, and prevent any lateral movement of threats that can come and impact your corporate environment.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with those products, even if they were good, you'd have to manage them on an individual basis, right? So if you're trying to push corporate policy at the 10,000 people using 10,000 different devices, the personnel overhead on that would just not be feasible. So now I know last year Palo Alto Networks released a really cool product called Okyo Garde to address some of those challenges. Before we get into some of the new capabilities, can you just remind the audience what Okyo Garde is?
Absolutely. So Okyo Garde is Palo Alto's product for the home. So we're bringing in enterprise class security capabilities that can be deployed in your home. And what Okyo Garde does is that it ensures that your home is protected against external threats. And what we're going to be talking about today is that as you protect the home, given that it's your new place of work on a somewhat permanent basis, at least you're using it for some part of each and every week, it starts becoming the stepping stone to saying, how do I also protect my enterprise users when they are sitting at home? But that's what we announced last year.
Yeah, in fact, I really liked the product. I wrote about it. I think the way I described it was really the first enterprise class product built for that home environment. So I'm not taking, I'm sure you'd like it if you could sell a next-gen firewall into every home, but that's just not practical. So this is a good extension of that. Now, as I mentioned, you do have a new version coming, the Enterprise Edition. Can you give us a product update and what are some of the new capabilities in that?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So if you take a step back, Palo Alto's approach to solving this hybrid work problem is SASE, Secure Access Service Edge, and we call our solution set Prisma SASE. So what Prisma SASE is it brings a very, very powerful distributed security capability. It's called Prisma Access. It's distributed across the entire world, and it can be invoked either from a branch office or from a home. So the way that we go to address these problems today is that for any laptop, for any user, you have an agent. It ensures that, or you can use a proxy architecture, and you can invoke the full stack of security all the time. What we're doing now, today with Okyo Garde Enterprise, is extending these capabilities to the rest of the home. So, there's a few big use cases. Let me just take one example. Let's say you have an employee that's in charge of in your finance department, access to a lot of critical capabilities. They have a few devices at home, all of which are accessing the enterprise environment. And it's not enough then to say, hey, my laptop has an agent, it's able to invoke Prisma Access. You're really saying, how do I protect all these devices? If you have a call center employee, you have to say, hey, how do I ensure that multiple devices, an IP phone, etc., all of these are protected. And not only are you trying to protect multiple devices, you're also saying, how do I prevent lateral threats from the rest of the home, from the consumer part of the home, from infecting my corporate segment, so to speak. That's the reason we're announcing Okyo Garde Enterprise Edition today. And what we're doing with Okyo Garde Enterprise is ensuring that all the great security we brought to the whole home and all the great SASE security we brought to the corporate environment, all of it is delivered via the Okyo platform all the way down to your house.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, I don't think IT leaders and security leaders really understand the level of threat today. Whenever you have people run any kind of diagnostic of what they're doing in their home, the number of devices that they have connected in their home is far more than they think they have.
Yeah.
But you think of what's connected today. I've got a connected refrigerator, dishwasher, right? Your garage doors, all your home consumer devices, and all of those create back doors into your organizations, right? So, how are you helping customers protect themselves from a lot of the new threats, though, that we highlighted before? Because some of those are, we've never seen those before, right? It's kind of a new security landscape that we're in now.
Yeah, when I run a little diagnostic on my own home, the number of IP connected devices, right? I have about 50 to 100 IP connected devices in my home. And so a traditional lightweight firewall that I bought from my local electronics shop just doesn't cut it, right? I do need enterprise class security down to the home. Now, one of the potential concerns, right, and rightfully so, that people have is around privacy, right? Because my enterprise is deploying a security device to my home. I want to ensure that my personal part, the personal home, and let's call it the personal segment and the corporate segment, my personal segment is not really visible to my corporate, and the corporate segment is very protected. So what we've done with Okyo is 2 or 3 great things. One, from a privacy standpoint, absolutely nothing in your personal segment ever touches the corporate segment, ever touches, rather accurately, your company's security stack, right? It's just not going to go. So, whether it's your browsing, your kids' browsing, or anything else, which TV shows you watch, none of that ever gets to your corporate IT department or any such thing. It's private. It's to protect your family, protect your children, protect your home. And then when it comes to the enterprise segment, what we're doing is with all these chatty, noisy devices, right? And you have the potential where someone parks into your refrigerator or any other device and then starts doing vulnerability scanning against the corporate part of your home. That's why we're ensuring that, again, your corporate segment is completely protected. And in addition to that, Okyo integrates with our Prisma Access, our SASE solution. So in addition to all the powerful security that Okyo has on board for your home, when it comes to the corporate segment, you're able to get the full stack of policies that you apply, whether it's DLP, whether it's advanced CASB capabilities, firewalling as a service, zero trust network access, all those capabilities get invoked fluidly.
Let's double click on a couple of those. The first one's SASE. In fact, I find SASE fascinating because just to give you a sense of how long we've been talking about this in the industry, the very first report I wrote when I was at Yankee Group was on the concept of network-based security services using IP service switches, and nobody really bought them. And for a while I thought this was really a solution looking for a problem. Well, the problem came, and that's hybrid work, right? And I know since then Palo Alto has built out quite a robust SASE stack. So can you describe how Okyo fits into that broader SASE architecture and how an enterprise might be able to manage the entire hybrid environment with one common SASE framework that spans Okyo and then your other products?
Yes, you've always been ahead of the curve, right? I think now the rest of the world has gotten up to you on this front. What we do with SASE is we bring together 3 big areas as a cloud-delivered solution. First, security, right? Some of the major capabilities are zero trust network access, of course, CASB with DLP, firewalling as a service, etc. The second big area is around network, right? The way our SASE solution is built, it's built multi-cloud. It takes advantage of GCP, AWS, and other clouds, and it leverages a massively distributed backbone where you get onboarded, and it's one of the world's best high-speed backbones that connect any user to their application. In addition to that, it also integrates our SD-WAN solution, right? So as you look at your branch offices where you have multiple forms of connectivity, etc., you get a very, very powerful SD-WAN solution. And then the third big area is around user experience monitoring and management. We call it ADEM, where if you're sitting at your home, right, and you're on the Zoom call, ADEM automatically is looking and saying, when your video gets choppy or your voice gets choppy, where is the problem? Is it because your laptop is running hot with too many applications open on an older laptop?
Usually, yeah.
Right? The number of tabs I have open on my browser, there's probably 100 tabs because I want to read every document and have handy access. Is it because I'm sitting in my backyard with my Wi-Fi signal strength being really poor? Or is it my local cable connection or internet connection? Or is there a problem in the middle mile? Is there a problem in the service provider, if it's Zoom's data center or some such? Being able to expose that and let the user auto-serve brings tremendous clarity. And now that we've added Okyo to be a part of this platform, you're getting all this goodness delivered to your entire home.
Yeah, so the last thing I want to ask you about, and you touched on this a couple of times, is zero trust. Zero trust might be the single biggest area that I get inquiry on today. I think everybody wants to build out a zero trust security model. I think what zero trust does, if you're not familiar with it, is it kind of flips the model of the internet around, right? The internet was built on this concept that everything can talk to everything. That's when I type in Palo Alto networks.com, I get there really fast, right? But the problem is, if I'm breached, it talks to everything, right? And so zero trust flips that around. And so how does Okyo fit into zero trust?
Oh, this is a topic of great passion for me. So with zero trust, right, the foundational principle really is principle of least privilege and principle of continuous trust verification, right? These are core to the concept of zero trust. So the notion with zero trust was that, hey, instead of giving access to a whole broad segment of a network, which is not least privilege, let me give access to a narrower section. What we have candidly seen with current implementations of zero trust out there really is that they actually wind up violating the principle of least privilege. Oftentimes, what you really want to do is ensure that you have a mapping of user to app, sub-app, right? The example I like to give is airplanes. Now that we've started traveling again, when I go to an airport, right, my user ID is really from my driver's license that I'm showing, and my boarding pass constricts me to board a specific plane, and within that plane, to a section. I can't go enter the cockpit, right? If an aeroplane is an application, I get access to that, and a sub-application within that. The challenge with existing zero trust implementations oftentimes is that because they map a network construct, IP port or a DNS to an application, it's as if you went to the airport, presented your boarding pass, and you could enter any plane.
Right, right.
So what we're now doing with Okyo being part of SASE is that you can actually set up policies in our SASE system such that a user only connects to an application and a sub-application. A great example, we worked with some of the biggest hospital chains in the country and the world as they dealt with the pandemic. You saw their employees, oftentimes even their their physicians, as well as administrative staff go home. Now you have HIPAA compliance and tremendous compliance requirements. So when someone accesses a medical application like Epic or something else, the access that a doctor has versus the access a nurse has versus the access an administrator has needs to be very different. So you want to be able to tailor it down to saying user, application, sub-application based on profile. We're able to do that with our SASE and Okyo solutions.
All right, well, Kumar, thanks for that update on what you're doing with Okyo. That was tremendous. Congratulations on the new release. So that brings us to the end of this ZKast. Because we're in person, I'm going to shake your hand. I don't get to do that over Zoom calls. I don't have to bring up the little shake hand icon. So anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to click subscribe, and I'll see you next time on ZKast. And again, thanks to Kumar for the update on Okyo.
Oh, thanks for having me.